In July 9, Ukraine Media Center starts its operation. My name is Svetlana Shaparenko, and now we will discuss the School of Operators for the Unmanned Ground Vehicles, established by the 3rd Assault Brigade. And joining us is Viktor Pavlov, founder of the UGV Operator School and Platoon commander. So, Mr. Viktor, microphone please, and let's start our communication. Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure seeing everybody. So you've launched your own school to train the operators of unmanned ground vehicles. So basically there's a number of schools in Ukraine that train the operators of unmanned vehicles. So how unique is your school? Well, numerous is how much? Well, there are state-controlled, there are private ones. Well, when it comes to ground vehicles, well, there were no, let's say, the schools that would train the civilians. Meanwhile, the civilians are the people who are going to become the military or are supposed to become the military, are supposed to be involved in defense of their country. So this is one of the reasons we established such a school. So there are different state-controlled centers. They are not so numerous. It's only 3 of them. And our school that we've enabled within the 3rd Assault Brigade, which is now the core. So what are the tasks that you're setting for yourself? To train the civilians who then may join the brigade in future? Well, we've opened the school to accumulate all of the knowledge, all of the experience, all of the combat experience from the battle units, so we could share it with the other military and with the civilians. Well, the civilians, they have a contracted program that they don't need to know everything that the military are supposed to know. But this, abbreviation UGV is not so clear. We know what FPV is. 3 years ago, no one knew. Well, very little number of people knew how to decipher FPV. So the same is about UGV now. And that's exactly why we've built this school, to popularize it, to share this knowledge, to scale it up to other units, because the war cannot be won with only one brigade, no matter how good it is. It's still not sufficient. Us at the 3rd Assault Brigade, we are ready. We are ready to share the knowledge that we already have. So you're basically ready to let go of those people whom you train, to share your experience with the other brigades. We don't bussify, we don't mobilize people. So for us, there is no need to let them go. We don't hold on them. Everybody comes to us just voluntarily, both military and civilians. It's not like people come to us because there is an order from above, send 10 people, because otherwise if you don't send, we're going to deprive you of your R&R or something like that. If people want, they just come and study things. So what's the role of the unmanned vehicles in today's war? Definitely, if the schools like yours pop up, it means that there is a huge need in them. Well, basically 80% of the damage for the time being in the front lines is inflicted by the drones. So now is the war of technologies going on, and the ground drones, they do a different job. They have a different role. They help in a different way. So let's watch a small video in which we will be able to see those ground vehicles, and you are going to comment what are they doing, like, well, by the photos or by the videos, right? So this is the opening. So as we were opening the school, there were a lot of issues before. We have a simulator. We have lecture rooms. We have a kill house for training, and we have a large fleet. The video is really very fast. There's not so much you can get from it, but we'll have another video and I will be able to comment it in detail. And basically, I invite everybody who is curious about it. I'm inviting everybody to the school so you can see everything with your own eyes, and you can try even to operate a vehicle. All right, so a couple of words about the school. How was it built? Is everything going on in one premises, or is it disseminated, dispersed somehow? Is there an opportunity to study online? I know that you've also prepared a video about the construction, how the things were built. Let's launch it. Well, look, we have some bigger drones, and the school, it was initiated back in summer 2024. In December, in the winter, after the order made by Andrei Beletsky, we've come to Kiev to build this school, and starting from January, we started the process. So this is the building that we used to have. There was nothing. There were no windows, no doors, no communications, no water, no light, no canalization, no sewage, nothing. So a lot of destruction. We've undertaken this opportunity eagerly. We wanted to start the facility even earlier, so we started in September, and we were able to open it in March already. And the first classes, they started along with the sounds of hammers, and you can see the premises becoming more and more beautiful. Well, we probably were a little bit too eager, and we've expanded it to 800 square meters. We wanted to open just the first floor, the workshop and the lecture room, and then we've decided, like, all right, let's make 4 floors right away. So we had the simulator and the lecture room combined back then. Now they are separate rooms. That's one of the lecture rooms. We have a dedicated simulator room. You will be able to see the simulator. That's probably the only simulator all around the world for the unmanned ground vehicles. It's our own development. It's our Ukrainian software, and the cadets will be able to train right there. You know, we have this software for the fixed-wing drones, for FPV drones, and now we've developed it for the unmanned ground vehicles. So there is also a big workshop, a big garage, because you can see Mr. Kirillov, Budanov here, Mr. Andrei Beletsky, right here on those pictures. And that's exactly the day of the opening, when we've opened our door for the first students. So, the facilities, did you get it from the state or from the sponsors? We've seen the building was pretty decrepit, but I mean, it's still pretty big. Well, it's an old facility. It was ours, but it was just abandoned. No one needed it. We were thinking first to build the school of containers, shipping containers, but we've calculated things and we've decided that it's a little bit too expensive. So as I was entering this building in January, I was thinking, no, maybe it's like something wrong about me. The things didn't seem realistic. Too much work to do. And those repairs that we've done, well, definitely we did it thanks to our partners, the volunteers, our friends. You've seen on the video there was a lot of people. We had days when there were 40 people coming and working at the same time, both males and females, to implement this project. Well, did the state get involved in this project? The Ministry of Strategic Communications, they supported our initiative. We had a meeting in 2024, so they found money. The Ukravto base sponsored the procurement of UGVs. Well, and all those drones that we had in our brigade, the ground drones, they were all bought by the volunteers. We were looking for them ourselves, and the same thing here. We were looking for resources by ourselves to build this school. So to a certain extent, yes, the state did get involved, but not so much. Well, but still the majority is the initiative from the bottom. Like, the people come, they talk, they see what's necessary, what's needed. You know, the people with the visionary view, well, they understand that it's a priority, is the future, and we should get started now already. So again, a lot of people got involved. We were helped by Stolitsa Group, our friend, IT Ivy Play company who was helping us with the chairs and the desks. Well, and on Saturdays, you know, they were coming during the days off to still help us to work. Just common people, the regular folks. Thank you. Well, let's put the presentation on the screen to see how this training is going on. So you could tell us a little bit more about the school, what's going on inside. The clicker is right in front of you, so you can click. So probably, first of all, let me describe what UGV is, because some may not understand what's the use of them. Because the process that what we do in the school is one of the components of this big puzzle, because we need to first identify why all of that stuff, to efficiently defend your country, to efficiently wage the war, because our resources are limited. We have a limited number of people. And all of the technologies, all of the unmanned vehicles, both aerial and ground ones, are intended to make us more efficient, to reduce the economic spending for the war, and to reduce the loss of human resources. For example, for the reconnaissance. The reconnaissance shouldn't walk by foot. They should fly by drone. To drop like those bombers, to drop the bombs or the kamikaze drones, is the replacement of the classical means of damage, the classical weapons, which are maybe more efficient. So the ground drones is about replacing the infantry. So instead of people moving along the forward edge of the battle area, they are now replaced by the drones, and they fulfill the same function logistically. They also exercise the engineering support and fire support. Logistics support is the foundation, because without logistics, there's no war. With no supply, there's nothing to shoot with. With no food, there is no energy for the troops to continue fighting. That's why in our brigade we've learned to carry a lot of cargo, dozens of cargo per week. So the classic logistics was almost fully replaced by the drone logistics. What does it tell us? It says that one person can carry 20 kilograms, one drone can carry 200 kilograms in average. So if we carry, say, 20 tons per week, it's 1,000 people in equivalent who are supposed to walk in equivalent, or a number of vehicles which are supposed to go there. So another question is, how many people out of that number could be killed, wounded, with remote mining, FPVs, classical weapons? It all complicates, especially UAVs, they complicate the movement a lot, and this zone is becoming broader and broader, so it's just the necessity. It needs to be scaled up as soon as possible. So that's the first function. Secondly, and again, I failed to mention the key idea, the evacuation of the injured ones, wounded ones. We evacuate them even when it's impossible to do in any different way. When sending a medevac team, it means to jeopardize them. 4 people who are supposed to carry a wounded warrior. You know, the enemy loves to hunt such evacuation teams, and it enables us, it gives the chance to those wounded when there is no opportunity, no possibility for an evacuation group to pick them up. The drones can do that. Another function is engineering function. It's about mining and demining and installation of engineering fortifications.
Замість того, щоб сапер-інженер брав декілька противотанкових мін і ніс їх на собі, це робить дрон.
some drones, and so he does it remotely. So at the same time, an engineer can put 2 or 4 more mines on his backpack. This is economy. This is protection. This is preservation of human resource. So this is the most difficult element. Imagine this is first replacement of classical conventional means. So we can continue working the same way as we are doing it right now. On the other hand, it's storming actions and offensive actions. For example, when offensive actions are conducted, the people are backed up by a battalion or maybe even by a brigade or even something higher, artillery, radio, electronic warfare. They are all working on making or on providing the possibility for this offensive group to get to the point they are intended to get to. The enemy is doing everything they can to prevent this from happening. Regarding drones, we cannot say that they can do everything on their own because they will also be targeted by remote FPV. However, what's the most important? It's not human. It's not humans that are being targeted. It's machines. So even economically. For example, imagine the compensation to the families of the deceased warriors. So as I said, this is how it's happening in brigades. It's not an imagination. It's already happening. It's reality. It's working. You already see it on the images. It's unfortunately 50-60% of 50-60% of all UGVs are used in our brigade only, and we started in 2024. And we are continuing right now, and we are having practical results. So what we are starting with is logistics. In order to make those UGVs work, go and conduct offensive actions, the people have to be trained how to do that. So this is why we are telling the people how exactly it is happening. We are taking the combat experience of the combat units, and we are taking it and transforming it for our goals. We are working on enhancement and improvement of how the drones are working. That is why the school is an accumulator, so to speak, a collector of experience, of knowledge that could be scaled and improved in the future. That's why we have started this course. We did not announce it yet, but we are already training a lot of different units from different brigades, and they are addressing. They are coming to us. They're requesting this training. But of course our units come first because our unit is getting bigger. More people are coming. So now a lot of time is consumed by the fact that a lot of different people are coming from different units, and more people, and that a lot of time is being consumed, and the guys are getting more and more missions to accomplish, and that is why they're coming to us to train on how it could be done better with the use of the UGV. How we constructed this school. You have seen on the video how we created something from basically nothing, and it is actually, in reality, it does practically provide results. Regarding the training process, maybe you have some kind of questions. No, please continue. Very interesting. It was very interesting to listen. Please continue. Okay, so training process. You can read more here. Training process is consisted of two things. This first is a basic course, five-day course, which is aimed for civilians. However, military personnel also is being trained on this. You've asked before. What are you do? What is your? So I'm doing the drones. You could tell that I look like a Terminator. If you saw me using the UGV, it's like a Terminator on the battlefield. So this is what we are telling the people. That is the basic course. And also we launched recently a military course, training course. This is an 11-day program with a practice, a lot of theory, of course, and it is kind of we thought it would be boring, but it turned out to be actually interesting. People are really fond of it, but of course there is practice, and it's not only, and it's only and it's way easier than to learn how to operate an FPV. UGV are easier to learn. This is basically like learning a machine gun or a submachine gun on a training field. It's one thing. Another thing is to apply this knowledge on the battlefield. So this is what we are teaching. The use of the drones on the battlefield. So when and how it has to be applied, how it should be repaired, because without engineers it's not going to work. Like for example, F-16. Do you know how many people are servicing one plane? 24. Yes, 24 people. This is the same story here. A drone, an operator of a drone can't just take the drone and go and use it. It's gonna break. It needs to be serviced. A wheel needs to be replaced that was blown up, or communication has to be fixed. And this demands engineer knowledge, and this is something that is lacking severely in the army right now. So if a person can use a Kalashnikov, so if people already know how to use Kalashnikov and to use a radio, like the same way the people are going to learn how to use the UGVs. That is why we are training practical knowledge. Our goal was also to compress this course. I'm sorry if I said something against the training centers that you mentioned. However, guys are making good that they're working on these bureaucratical things. It is sometimes hard to get what we need because of the red tape. However, this is something that we are sharing knowledge about with the people that are coming to our training course from 75 and 191st Brigades. The course right now is 40 days. Which commander which commander is going to let one of his warriors for 40 days? No one, not a single commander is going to let their people go to learn for 40 days straight. However, 11 days, it's more realistic. So one of our goals was to compress this training course from 40 days to 11 days. This is first course. We will see how the second goes. I would like to ask, you said about civilians. How about practical courses for civilians? There are courses for practical courses for civilians. Of course, it does exist. It's not as extensive. It's not as extensive as in military course, of course. However, this is something that's also substantial. You can't squeeze in all the knowledge into 11 days. It's really hard to do. However, they are getting the basic knowledge, the basis for the future improvement. So this is something that saves time. Our course is basically aimed at boosting the training process in general, and after our course, it is much easier for a person to integrate into a unit. So when people come into us asking about the UGV, how it could be applied in practice, we are showing them. And what we are starting with is that we are telling them that a unit needs to have a repair shop. So when the procurement is happening, people are just not ready to provide or to conduct procurement in terms of combat readiness, because for getting a unit to a point where we can talk about combat readiness, a lot of time is being spent. And in case of UGVs, it's electronics and the radio. How many people has already finished the training? Well, if we take in general, I don't want to lie. Let me see. It's quite a lot, taking into account that we are training, also training the people in our recruiting center. We are putting on the recruiting the recruits. If you didn't know, any guy, any girl can come to us and try their skills about readiness for going into a combat unit. So everybody has this chance to see if they are capable of it. So they could come and they could undergo courses which will tell them if they can do it. So, for example, somebody decided to be a medic, reconnaissance guy, or a infantry. So they're coming to us. We're providing a basic knowledge. We are providing basic knowledge to the recruits. So this is a kind of like a enlightenment for them. You know, they get to know what is actually it is that they want to become. You know, so. Every Saturday we are having a 507 people who went through our training course. It's starting from the middle of March. The majority of them are civilians, and if we are talking about complete courses, this is a bigger number. But 507, without taking into account all the guests that are visiting us. So what's next? What are your plans? Are you going to extend your school? Well, as of right now, military course. Taking into account that we already have 2 directions, which is basic and enhanced. 50% of our personnel is constantly involved into the training, and we have already scheduled this training for a few months ahead. And what this tells us, it tells us that we probably need to launch another course, another parallel course, so our capability for training improves. This is one question that we need to decide. Also, we are planning to launch engineering course, because this is also really necessary. As I said before, this is really necessary. Next step is enhanced military course, and the next step is an engineering course. And this all involves a material base that needs to be procured. This is soldering stations, additional FPVs, additional drones. The premises, more premises need to be equipped for training. This is also time, this is people, this is a lot of energy that is required.
So what's next? We're going to expand our capabilities and launch the new engineering course. Well, you have something more to demonstrate. Well, basically, we cannot avoid it, because we can win only using a joint effort, only when we stand all together, when we work all together to victor over a bigger enemy, economically bigger and bigger in terms of human resources. That's one of the examples when using a joint effort of the 3rd Brigade, Ukernafta, Ministry of Strategic Communications. I don't know where's the laser pointer, but Stolitsa Group, that's the big developer, Viktor. They helped us with the training process, with the instructors and material. Evaplay, that's one of those unique civil organizations that after the buildings were destroyed, they voluntarily helped to rebuild them. You know, I was shocked when the people, they just walked out to help rebuild someone else's homes, and the girls, you know, I was really impressed. They were working on par with the boys. They were using the cement mixers to mix the concrete. They were using the perforators to cut those bricks. Well, probably they were getting some pleasure out of it, but they did a tremendous job. They were understanding why they do it. They had motivation, and it's real cool when you know what you do things for. Well, we have another video. I would like to ask our technical team to put it on the screen so we can see the UGVs in action. So that's the training, for what we understand. Yeah, that was happening a couple of weeks ago. We had a lot of people, good music, you can leave it on. So these are the ground stations, so the students can train on a remote basis. That was an A6-wheeled with independent suspension. Well, they all have different technical capabilities, different characteristics. That's one of the types of the remote control. And yes, those drones, they need to be washed all the time. We need to teach it in the combat units. If you don't wash it, it's dirty and it stops moving. This is how the guys learn to overcome the obstacles. We built our sandbox where everybody is training some basic skills, how to operate the drone, how to park it, how to guide it, how to drive it. So first you take the remote control and you start feeling how the things are happening. You know, the first task is like to back up to the garage or just to park here, and here you gotta make an 8 like you make on your motorcycle. And this is the picture of a simulator, by the way, for the UGVs. So how can civilians get involved in the training? What are they supposed to do? Are there any restrictions? Well, everybody can sign up. We have our Kill House Academy that I've mentioned in that website. There is a UGV section, and you can sign up using the form. Well, when it comes to restrictions, well, we check everybody because we understand. We check the passport data to understand that there are no spies. Here it's about security, regular thing, but otherwise everybody can sign up. Any age restrictions? Well, we have children studying in FPV school, 10 years old. Well, so basically the parents can send their kids during their recess. Yeah, basically we are going to use the children's labor probably to watch the UGVs. Well, I'm definitely kidding, but we got everything united in one academy. First, we've built the FPV school. Then there was a UGV school. There are more training courses, engineering training course, fixed wing, UAV. Now the UGV school is expanding. Then we have boot camp, the physical training, TechMed training school, and everything is joined within the Kill House Academy. But I mean, that's a topic of a different conversation because there's a lot that can be told about it. So whom are you most interested in the military to improve their skills, or in the civilians so they can build those skills from scratch? Well, it's our joint effort, both militaries and civilians. Everybody should get involved in this process one way or another. Every member of the society should be involved in supporting the defense of the country. That's truth, right? That's the path we're walking. That's what we're doing. But the civilians, yeah, you just need to tell them the girls are coming and getting curious. You know, the drones themselves, they are heavy, they are difficult to lift, but everybody comes, men, women, children. Dear colleagues, dear journalists, if you have any questions on the floor, so please get the mic and start asking your questions. Fakty edition, Fakty newspaper, Volodymyr Osipchuk, you may probably tell us about some specific cases when the drones were saving lives of the people without calling names or call signs, obviously. Well, in fact, that's happening every single day, every single week on a regular basis, because unfortunately there are wounded warriors in the battlefield all the time, and the drones try to exercise those evacuation functions. That's an onerous task to fulfill. It's not like here we get a drone and we start evacuating people. First, you need to start with the logistics. What we carry with the logistics, I can tell you afterwards, so you understand what is the nature of the cargo and how valuable is it. And evacuation is a more of a responsible, more of a difficult task, because you have to deliver your cargo unaffected, undamaged, and the enemy keeps hunting for everybody. You have to understand the skies, what's going on there. If there are enemy birds in the skies, enemy drones, you have to pick the right moment and to fulfill your mission. Well, in specific terms, just recently, I think you may have seen a video online when the guys were evacuating a wounded warrior using a cart. That they used a Caterpillar drone, and on the way more than 3 times the drone was damaged by an FPV, not direct hits, but it was also hit by drops, bomb drops. But again, it keeps moving. You cannot probably very efficiently target it. Yeah, but what's the average speed and what's the radius of operational radius? Well, it depends. It depends on the capability. For example, the wheel drones can drive faster. The Caterpillar-based, they are slower, but for example, the wheel drones, sometimes they cannot overcome some steep obstacles. Meanwhile, the Caterpillar ones can. Well, it depends on the weight, the motors, their gearbox, everything is different. But when it comes to speed, which is the fastest one? Well, we don't do racing, but there are drones that may drive 12 kilometers per hour. There are faster ones, but usually, but let's put it like this, it's not always that in practice, when there is no road, you can develop any significant speed, specifically when you go with the cargo on board and it's all happening in the night, when you have to drive carefully because a wrong movement and you wrong turn and you end up in the curb. So the speed is not as high as we would like to probably, but for evacuation we probably need better speed to improve the chances to evade the enemy's FPVs, enemy's drop-ins. If we understand that that the bomb drop-in drone is above us, so again, yes, speed is desirable, but it shouldn't create any obstacles for the mission. Well, and what about the distance? Well, it depends on the battery. Previously, our requirement was 20 kilometers because the mission is like at least 8 kilometers one way, and the battery should suffice for coming back and forth. And now some of the units, they exercise the missions which is, say, 15 kilometers one way. So now the necessary distance that we request from the manufacturers is 40 kilometers. But again, there is additional space on the drones where you can put another battery to expand the range. So more or less like this, but it's not like they're all similar. But again, about the distance, because the operational range is one thing, it's like how long can you go using the battery. But again, it's all happening without the operator, and without operator you need communications. So it depends on the distance of communication. I'm not going to tell you a lot about communications because we are definitely being watched by the enemy, but it's a very special topic that we may discuss separately. But again, you can drive a drone, you can operate it, say, from Lviv all the way to the Kharkiv region, to the forward edge of the battle area. It all depends on the communication. Well, now we are going to have a question in English, so please use the headphone.
Are you working based on the experience that you have in combat already to work with the government to understand their need to really get behind this, including forces that are necessary to expand ground work? And then based on your experience, where do you see this in maybe the next year, considering that we have FPV really dominating? Do you also see that the ground forces will also match on the ground level with these particular drones? Дякую. Including forces that are needed. Дякую.
Can you please repeat your first question, because I've misheard.
Explain to the government about the real need for UGV now. Like,
Okay.
how much command they need, how much human support they need, and logistics. So that's the government side. And based on your experience, where do you see this going because of this in the next year with UGV?
Можете українською відповідати.
Добре, окей. Так.
Well, the first thing, the state does understand that it needs to be done. It's just because it's a big machine and it's less mobile, not so quick, it takes a little too long. I mean, all the bureaucratic procedures. But the command, they have a vision how to expand the segment of the ground drones. When it comes to the number of people, you know, the number of people in the units is the organization. It should all be approved officially. There is an organization chart. There is a unit of, there is a UGV unit that is being attached to your brigade, and you do your thing. There is a funding allocated for you. So there is such an understanding of part of the government. Definitely, we would like the things to be happening faster, because I would immediately implement UGVs everywhere in all units right away, because I have personally no doubt that it's a working method. It definitely does work. It's definitely necessary. Sometimes I don't understand why all those stages, because the sooner we implement them in brigades, the sooner they are going to figure out how to work with it. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Time is needed to hire more people, to train them. You need to try the drones in the field. You have to try the drones during the combat operations. So I would do things faster. But again, I've seen the plans. There is a step-by-step implementation of UGVs in different brigades. So this period is these brigades, then the following period, the following brigade, and probably in a year or two, they are going to be implemented everywhere. There is a vision there. I think that resources are sufficient. Probably not all of them are used efficiently, but that's something that definitely needs to be done. And the second question was?
Do you see that UGVs may be on the equal ground of FPVs? Because we now know we have this gray zone with FPVs, but UGVs are still developing at a particular rate. Do you see at a point where they will also be in the millions and mass produced?
Ну, не буде мільйонів, будуть десятки тисяч.
Well, they're not going to come in millions, maybe in tens of thousands, because the FPV expendables, they're like shells. Meanwhile, the ground drones, yeah, they are needed in large numbers, but not probably in millions, in tens of thousands to cover all of the brigades. For years, we will need tens of thousands of ground drones. Well, I already mentioned was the use of them, and it's really so. It does work. We just need to understand it, and we need to allow the combat units to work. The state is involved in it. We've contracted many Ukrainian manufacturers this year, and there's about 10,000 of drones on procurement list. They are being manufactured. They are being supplied to the units that have their UGV subunits. So what's your evaluation of the need of the... is there more need in the drones themselves or operators? I understand that you're going to say that both are necessary, but what need is bigger? Well, it's like a startup or a company. Whom do you need? You need the people to work, or you need those who first organize the process. So again, there is no such thing. What do we need more, people or drones? What's more valuable? I would not even call it valuable, but the more difficult work is done by the operators. But let's start first with engineers, because nothing's going to work without engineers. It's technology. You have to train people how things work. You have to get many operators who are going to work as the instructors, and then to start using it on a daily basis. Thank you. Do we have any more questions on the floor?
Including business industries, manufacturers of different kinds. What do you need, including materials or any of these things? Дякую.
What do you mean outside?
Manufacturing needs, especially because you have different types of UGVs that you're making. You have some for evacuation, you have some for sappers, you have different needs. So how do you reach out to, say, various industries to get very good specifics. What do you need to do better for the supplies for this?
Ну, давайте, якщо ми говоримо про
Well, when it comes to the school, well, I've already told you what's needed. We need material, it's being broken, we need to support this process. So far, it's not a state-controlled story, it's our initiative. We've built it in a way that it exists now. There is no one covering us. Probably there will be sponsors who will pay money, which will help to cover the needs of the schools, because now the school instructors are the veterans, those injured who got retired, and now they're involved in training process. The guys with combat experience who are now serving as instructors, who share their combat experience with other guys. So this is the way it works now. And talking about ground drones in the units, there is a huge need for communication, for parts. So all the means of communication. First of all, the communications, they are expensive and we need a lot of them. Some of them sometimes are not manufactured in Ukraine. We need to import them from abroad. We need to bring them from abroad. So this is what's needed. But generally, it's a complex work, and every part of it needs to be supported. Both the businesses, the manufacturers need to be supported. The manufacturers need to listen to the military. The state needs to solve some complex issues to scale things up, because nothing's going to work without the state, because the state is the biggest client, the biggest procurer. We need to set the priorities here in the proper way. So again, it's a complex work. Thank you. And yet another question. Mr. Viktor, probably you have already developed the tactics of assault operations using the UGVs and the defense operations. Probably you have already calculated, conditionally saying that for one assault you need 10 personnel and 5 drones. For defense you need 5 infantrymen and 3 drones, for example. Do you have any schemes like that developed? Well, I assume some might have done it, but if not, it definitely should emerge in the future. No matter if we want it or not, it should be, such things should be existing. Well, I don't know about the proportions when it comes to offensive or defensive operations, but I think those things can be calculated, but nothing's gonna work without people. One way or another, it should involve people. The question is whether the people will be walking along the forward edge of the battle area, or are those the people who are going to stay there on a distance just driving the drones, just operating the drones. But first, the things will be happening with involvement of the people, but in future, we should replace the people with the drones to the largest extent possible. This is where we're going. The question is only when. Thank you very much. Let me remind you that we were discussing the school for training of unmanned ground vehicles operators established by the 3rd Assault Brigade, and Ukraine Media Center is going to continue tomorrow. Thank you for staying tuned. Glory for Ukraine. Thank you. Glory to the heroes.